Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and after the smoke controversy at the kickoff classic, the pros seem to have finally come to the decision to shut down Los Angeles Thieves and get the smokes out there. Does that mean the snipers have to follow in their wake? We may find out over these coming days. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that one. First of all, this from the Call of Duty League, only 3 days as of today until the CDL actually starts. The kickoff weekend was nice, it was a good time. But of course, it's not proper official CDL matches. These, unfortunately, are of course going to be online until the majors, but it's still exciting to see how these get underway. We obviously know the schedule for all of these matches for the entire season, which is somewhat rare, but I mean, yeah, there's obviously some cracking ones coming up later this week as well, condensed into a 3-day weekend, which I think is personally much better than the 4-day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday that we had last time around. Speaking of that, actually, because, well, Breaking Point, we're doing our best to try and make a greater fantasy product for you guys, because Draft Buff, I know a lot of you guys have been asking about Draft Buff, and the Draft Royales that we did with those guys last year. They've gone on to make their own game, actually, rather than they've left the fantasy space effectively. So there's no one who really does a good job of this in Call of Duty, unfortunately, given they left. So, you know, Breaking Point, we're trying to do our best to make this work. This I thought was really cool. Spoon's managed to make a page where you can actually see what your team is after you submitted it, so you can post it on the socials, all that type of stuff. I believe over the next day or so, we'll have this up again on the website, so you guys can pick your fantasy teams ahead of the opening weekends. Let's dive into this then from Chrome, because of course the online matches are going to be taking place, and there was some serious questions as to where these teams are going to be located, because last year a lot of these teams were in Texas, and you thought maybe that some of these teams would actually move out there still right for this year, and maybe even more teams would end up in Texas. You see Surge is there, New York is there, Los Angeles Guerrillas are there now. Last year they were over in LA, but some teams are certainly not in that region. Now, we believe that the servers have got slightly better, at least over the last year or so, that the CDL are using for these online games, so it doesn't seem to be as much of a big deal as it was in like April, May 2020 when the league was getting back underway, and the servers were very disadvantageous for the teams in Los Angeles. They had to play on like 70-80 ping every single game, but still, some teams are based out there. For example, Los Angeles, I thought that, okay, they're obviously based out of the compound, they're working out of the compound right now, but I did wonder whether they would, you know, come back to that kind of house they had last year in Texas to play their online games. That doesn't seem to be the case, at least as we see right now. OpTic, of course, are going to be in Texas, FaZe are in Atlanta as they were last year, Rokkr are in Minnesota actually, even though I thought Rokkr were in Texas last year, so that's interesting enough. Florida are in Florida, no real surprises there, so pretty interesting really that 7 out of the 12 teams are playing it from their home markets. This of course does mean something. I think especially the Los Angeles Thieves one is interesting, because that last year we certainly talked about, and clearly Guerrillas have decided yes, Los Angeles really wasn't cutting it last year for these online games. Now at the same time, thankfully, these games obviously mean a fair bit in terms of seeding for the major. You want to make sure you get top 8 in terms of like well, the overall record. You're probably going to have to go at least 2 in 3, and then you know, maybe some tiebreakers or however it works out to actually make sure you qualify in winners. But because there's no buys in winners, it doesn't really matter all that much if you go 5 in 0 in winners, or you go like 3 in 2 or something. Like as long as you're in the winners bracket, you're pretty much in with a decent chance to win the entire thing. You're going to get tough matches regardless. Of course, it's better to be in the number 1 seed, but it's maybe not necessary, right? So you only have to be just good enough, I guess, in the league matches to qualify for the major in the winners side, because if you qualify in losers, like it's basically chalked from day 1, and then you can really make a run in the tourney. So maybe that's what Thieves are thinking. Like, okay, this isn't ideal. We might not win all of our games online, but as long as we can do well enough to qualify for the majors in a good seeding, then we should be okay. But still, we'll see how this works out, because if it doesn't really work out for Thieves online, that may be their first port of call, is trying to move to Texas for these matches. But you know, logistically that's a nightmare, right? Flying the guys out there to practice in LA and then into Texas for the matches. So definitely interesting stuff to keep your eyes on. This also, a patch update comes through yesterday. Celebration Games, they're at it again, baby. And okay, they fixed a few things. One of the things that the CDL told us was going to happen a while ago, that has now happened, but not in the way we wanted it to, is the silence plant and defuse. So we were kind of saying to the CDL guys, or at least apparently Daniel Sai and the guys were telling Cellium, like, okay, we need the silent plant in the game, because right now in Search and Destroy, if someone goes to plant the bomb or goes to defuse it, if you're nearby on the enemy team, you can just hear them plant and defuse. That's you know, not really fair, right? It's better if it's silent in Call of Duty at least, because you know, it gives the guy trying to plant or defuse the bomb a little bit of extra advantage that they certainly need, and that is generally how it has always been. So they now have added a silent plant and defuse, but it's completely back to front with what we ask for effectively. So instead of it being silent for the enemy, it's silent for the player planting or defusing the bomb, not the enemy. So you know, it's like, I wonder if the developers, when they heard that we wanted silent plants, this is what they thought we meant, right? They thought we wanted it to be silent for us planting the bomb, whereas of course the real issue is the enemy actually hearing you. So you know, in fairness, they tried to do it, but it's just hilarious how every single time they tried out a feature, there's something wrong with it. And you know, look, I think that they'll probably get this fixed, right, and actually realize their mistake and go back to front. But it's good to see they did it regardless, right? Of course, this has been requested for quite some time, and well, seemingly now it is finally going to be fixed. So I guess that is a positive thing. But you know, everything is just hilarious at this point. point that comes out of as a result of this game. Now let's dive into some gentlemen's agreements then, because of course Kroner's been talking about this for a while. The snipers were added to the list back in January, and of course that caused an awful lot of controversy. The fans didn't like it, and understandably so. We saw them at the kickoff, and it really did not seem to be too overpowered by any means. But towards the end of the event, there was a lot of drama regarding the smoke grenade when Drazah popped one at his feet, and then he got a kill on CleanX, I'm pretty sure it was, and that people were saying, okay, look, these one-way smokes should not be abusable. What do we do about them? Do we just say to the pros, okay, you're not allowed to abuse the kind of one-way in the way that Drazah maybe did, or do you say, okay, the smokes have got to go entirely? A lot of pros have said, though, if smokes go, snipers have to go as well, but that does not seem to be the case quite as of yet. So as Chrome points out right here, now sniper rifles are only, one per team in search and destroy. That is the current thing you're allowed, which is pretty good. And let's say it's because smokes are out, snipers get a little bit stronger as a result. You can't counter them with, chucking a smoke to block off that line of sight or that angle or whatever. There seems to be so many other things you could do with snipers to make them balanced, right? One sniper per team, of course, is very sensible, I think, anyway. And then you've got to think of the attachment question as well. Like, they've got loads of attachments on them right now. If you take off attachments, restrict attachments, surely you can find a spot in which they're balanced. I'm not really too worried about the pros getting rid of snipers anymore, but I guess we'll see if that one turns out to be true or not. Now, Los Angeles Thieves, of course, tweet this out on the final day. When Drazah pops this smoke, he gets the nice little kill on a CleanX hit to finish off the round. A lot of pros were saying, even Simp said, like, you deserve to lose the series if you're going to abuse the smoke in this way. There's a mechanic right now, the smoke grenade in close ranges can be kind of seen through, similar really to Cold War, where, okay, they decided the pros to just get rid of it from Cold War like it was too bad and competitive, and that kind of made search and destroy rather one-dimensional. It's great if smokes can be used to block off line of sight, and okay, fake a bomb site, right? You throw a smoke over here, so they could be crossing to the site, the defense doesn't really know. That, of course, is the ideal situation. But when they end up getting abused like this, which frankly was very rare, right? It was, most pros were using these smoke grenades in the way that I guess they were intended to be used. Whereas, there's one example of Drazah, I guess the pros have gone back behind the scenes and said, okay, we've got to get rid of it as a result of this, so people don't use this again. Of course, reality is it was very rarely seen. We saw a lot of pros saying it's actually really, rarely that they see this used in scrims or anything behind the scenes. Like, usually smokes are used in reasonable ways in search and destroy. So the odd thing like this, is it really a big deal? The pros, I guess, have thought it is, and therefore they're going to get rid of it. And, Slasher isn't particularly happy about it though, right? Because, of course, their team, Los Angeles Guerrillas, they didn't use a sniper at the kickoff, even though they could have, maybe indicating, right, that, okay, one of the reasons why they might be in favor of a sniper GA is because, they don't really have a sniper player on their team that wants to use it compared to the other teams. That at least has been something that has been floated around. And as Slasher says, I'm not in the GA chat, but they got us playing search and destroy with a sniper, but no smokes. Oh boy, here we go again. So this is some of the frustration that arises, because a lot have been saying that you need a smoke grenade to counter the sniper rifle in search and destroy. If there's no smoke grenades, the sniper's just gonna, rain havoc across the entire map. Then again though, when we saw the sniper at the kickoff classic, there were counter snipers. People would pull out snipers on the other team to take them down. Like, I guess both team has one, right? So I guess at the end of the day, is it really too much of a big deal? Sometimes the teams would just avoid that part of the map. If you know the sniper's playing at B, just go to the A bomb site, right? Maybe that's the way to go work around it as well. And even then, if they get hit one time, the flinch is pretty crazy. So I didn't really see, even without smokes, the snipers were going to be way too strong. But some of the pros don't necessarily agree. And of course, the Slasher says in reply, smokes were thrown on B cross of Berlin and the A cross of Desert Siege. But I understand you have no idea what you're talking about. I'd hope to get some Twitter likes, right? So we're saying, okay, smokes were used to block off some snipers and make some plays. But it obviously was used, but not incredibly commonly. And I still think you can probably work around the snipers without a smoke grenade in hand, but we shall see. And this also, right? So you guys all believe that since one team was scumbagged with the smoke, that being Los Angeles Thieves, we should get it out for sure. So he's basically saying, yeah, just because one guy Drazah used it, we shouldn't necessarily have to get rid of it. And maybe it's actually better with the smoke grenade still in the game, because snipers seemingly are still going to be around. Now, this also from iLLeY, right? He doesn't seem happy. I think the idea that Shotzi was talking about from the OpTic guy's side was that, I'm pretty sure what they said was that they wanted the sniper rifles in, but they decided to vote for them out so that they would get listened to on keeping the smoke grenades in. iLLeY and co wanted the smoke grenades to stay, so it adds an extra bit of strategic depth to search and destroy, and therefore they were happy to get rid of the sniper rifles, even though they kind of wanted them in. It was a crazy situation. Like, it's mad that the pros actually decide things like this. But still, iLLeY doesn't seem happy then that, smokes are gone and snipers are still in. So, definitely a lot of, controversy about this. And what happens as a result, right? Do the pros come out and say, okay, smokes have now gone, it's time for snipers to go as well? Or what happens here, right? Because these guys seem to rule the roost, but the backlash we got before maybe is going to, stray them away slightly from going down this route again, because we know what happened on the timeline last time. The pros decided to get rid of snipers, and frankly, I don't really think there's good evidence. As even Octane said after the kickoff event, smokes and snipers do not correlate at all. The amount of times smokes are used to counter a sniper and how often they're used otherwise isn't even close, saying that, like, you can get rid of smokes, but snipers, there's really no reason to not keep them in the game. So definitely intrigued to your perspective on this down below. What do you think about smokes being gone entirely yesterday, I think, to be honest, a lot of pros were saying that really, okay, Drazah's use was kind of a one-off, wasn't particularly common, like just GA that's being used in that certain manner. But of course, it's really difficult to gentleman's agreement someone abusing the smoke in that way, because, you know, what if they do it accidentally, right? It is something that can happen in the, you know, grand finals of an event or something, and then there's a controversy about it. So the pros have decided to get rid of all that kind of question mark and just go down the route of getting rid of them entirely. But hopefully that means snipers are still going to stay. But you know, we know what the backlash was last time around. I'm pretty sure the pros don't want to kind of awaken the beast again on that front. This also from the CDL I thought was kind of funny. A couple of things to finish off with. Like, I mean, yeah, they go through a lot of the ARs that are maybe the scariest for the upcoming season. Arcitys, interestingly enough, on the FaZe side, wasn't even mentioned, right? So I think he's not particularly happy about this one. But of course, it may be time to prove some people wrong this year, because FaZe last year, they lost their series that they played at the kickoff event, and then they went on to just dominate the entire rest of the year. So we'll see if a similar story repeats itself right here. This also I thought was pretty ridiculous. So a scrim going on here between Paris and the FaZe guys. And if you guys look closely in the bottom right hand corner, you can see that Simp's health bar, I guess that this blocks it, so I'll just have to play it on the full screen. But Simp takes some damage right here. He goes down to like 0 HP, or he goes down to 2 HP, and then immediately starts regenning. Like, I've never seen this before, to be honest. You can see the doors like are meant to be closed, but there's just people running through them. But still, I mean, Simp goes down to 2 HP, and then he just immediately like starts regenning. Not sure how that even happens, but still, maybe Simp's cheating or something. Almost certainly it's just Vanguard being Vanguard. And yeah, this also for Modern Warfare, because we talked about the Tim the Tapman curse yesterday. He tweeted this out back in August. So, well, hopefully he doesn't tweet the same thing for the next Call of Duty. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tells the YouTube gods this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
The wrong side. Oh,
Okay, do you hear that? Because I don't. I do not hear that.
I still hear it
Okay.
just fine.
I don't. Okay, now you go.
See,
Deactivating the bomb.
I can't hear
You're
it.
defusing. I hear you.
But he can.
I do. They literally did it backwards, bro.
Oh my